Good morning, church. This morning we are going to be teaching in the beginning. Okay. It says here, Day 1, God's Spirit moved through the void. Then God spoke. Hold on. It says, first, there's nothing except God. But day 1, it says here, God's Spirit moved through the void. Then God spoke, let there be light. In day 2, then God separated the waters of the nothingness into the moisture and clouds of the sky above and the drops and waves of the ocean below. God named the sky heavens. But day 3, let's move it on a little, okay? It says this. God named the lower waters the sea. He gathered together the waters of the sea, exposing dry ground. He named the dry land earth. On this land, he made grass and flowers and trees. He made them with seeds so they could grow more grass and flowers and trees. The fruitful earth was a place of beauty. And God knew that it was good. Yes. Day 4. Then God fashioned the sun, the moon, and the stars to light the earth, and he set them in the heavens to mark the days, seasons, and years. Day 5, God said, let the water be filled with living creatures, and the seas and rivers swarmed with whales and fish. God said, let birds fly through the sky, and the open sky above earth was filled with every kind of flying bird. Be fruitful and fill the earth, God said, as he blessed the living creatures of the sea and sky. Ah, yes. And God knew that it was good. Day 6. I love this. Then God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures, and God made all kinds of animals, wild ones, tame ones, even those that crawl on the ground. Then God created the first man, Adam, and the first woman, Eve. They were the greatest of all God's creations because he made them in his own image to be a reflection of what he is like. God made Adam and Eve with souls that would live forever, and he planned for people to rule and live in harmony with every living thing on earth. God looked at everything that he had made, and he knew it was all very, very good. Day 7, and on the 7th day, God rested. God showed Adam and Eve the beauty and fruitfulness of the garden they lived in. He told them, you may not eat from every tree. You may eat from every tree except one, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. If you eat from that tree, you will die. So, and then it says, when God rested, he said, phew, that looks good. Has anybody heard God say that to you? When you've done something good, has he said, ooh, that looks good? That is so awesome. But first, I want to skip to a part. We're going to make a prediction real quick. Because we all know what happens. But we're thinking by the picture I see right here. I'm seeing. See? I am seeing. That's what I'm saying. I am seeing Eve going to that knowledge, the tree of knowledge, and she's about to grab that apple. And then I turn to the next page, and she eats it, and she gives the apple to Adam too. But God gets mad at him. But why does Eve do it? Let's read it. Tempted in the garden. Genesis 3. Look, Adam, the little bird comes when I call. God is good to us. He has given us everything. Everything except fruit from the tree of knowledge of God, of good and evil. Yes, that is forbidden. But Eve wonders, and one day she goes to the tree and gazes at the forbidden fruit. Satan, in the form of a serpent, tempts Eve. Are you sure God said not to eat this fruit? Oh yes, if we even touch it, we'll die. Oh, you won't die if you touch it, see? And if you eat it, you will be wise, just like God. You're right, and even this fruit will make me wise. Surely there's no harm in taking just one bite. Adam, it tastes delicious, and it will make you wise. Oh, and the serpent says, and it will make you wise. But the forbidden fruit has far different ethics than the separate promised. Suddenly, Adam and Eve realized they had disobeyed God. Their innocence is taken away as well. We're not wise. We're just naked, says Eve. Cover yourself with these leaves. We must hide, says Adam. In the stillness of the garden, God comes to Adam and Eve. I only ate it. So this is what God is saying. How did you know you were naked? How have you eaten the fruit I told you not? How did you know? How did you know you were naked? Have you eaten the fruit I told you not to eat? Then Adam says, I only ate it because the woman you gave me handed it to me. Then Eve says, the serpent you created tricked me. And then God speaks again, because you disobeyed me, you must leave this beautiful garden. From now on, you'll have to work hard to survive. God makes clothes for Adam and Eve out of animal skins and sends them away. Look, a flaming sword blocks the entrance to the garden. We can never go back now. Where can we go? What can we do? God's promise of salvation. This is what God's promise of salvation is. The perfect unity between God and his beloved creation is now broken. For all time, Adam and Eve are forced to create a new life out of their knowledge and shame. But already God has a plan to redeem his creation. God promises that one day he will send a Savior for his people. I'll read till the next chapter. Okay, here it is. So, we now come to another evil sight. But first, we're going to talk about Adam and Eve and that serpent. The serpent tricked Eve. Because it says right here, it says that, right here, the serpent says, are you sure God said not to eat this fruit? But the serpent says, "Oh, you will not die if you touch it. See, and if you eat it, you will be wise, just like God." This is what the serpent is lying about. The serpent is tricking Eve. See, we're going to rewind before all of this even happened. Okay, so the serpent is actually Satan, or as we call now, the devil. He was an angel of heaven. He was an angel in heaven, the worship leader of all kinds in heaven. But he wanted to be like God in heaven, so God kicked him out. And threw him down. Let's not say threw, but God kicked him out of heaven. Yeah, that's really powerful. He kicked him out of heaven. So now he is taking what he wanted to be like in heaven, and he's telling it to Eve. That is really, really wise. Okay, but so that is, see, that is called evil. I'd like to say that. That is called somebody say E. It's called evil. So when you, let's say, when you've sinned, you've done something that's not right. So something that's wrong doesn't mean it's evil. But if you're up here shooting people, killing people, that is evil. So we're gonna get into one, two, three, four more pages. Okay, it says, "Brothers' blood cry," based on Genesis. This is Genesis 4-5. Outside the Garden of Eden, the land is barren, hot, and dry, weary, alone, and frightened. Adam and Eve search until they find a place to make a home. Remember how beautiful Eden was, if only. It is our own fault for disobeying God, but I will teach our children to obey and love God. If I can help it, they won't repeat our mistake. So Adam teaches their sons, Cain and Abel, about God. God made the earth and everything we have. God even gave me my little lamb. And then Cain, I think, is the bad one, and Abel is a good one. And so Cain is thinking sheep are dumb. But let's think of this real quick. What if the sheep, I'm sure the sheep can think, if he thinks the sheep is dumb, then what if the sheep was wondering, this Cain guy is sure dumb? How would that make you feel? That would make you feel so sad and bad. All right. So then Abel is saying, how can I thank him? That's what Abel is saying to his father Adam. But Adam is now saying, when you're older, Abel, you can give God the best of your flock. He told us we should make sacrifices to show thankfulness. All right. But as the boys grow to manhood, Abel planned for the day when he can give his thank offering to God, but Cain thinks only of his crops. Now, Cain is thinking, if Abel gives God a sacrifice, I'll have to offer one too. And so now, it says, God is pleased with Abel's gift, but Cain's grudging spirit displeases God. And so, Cain is thinking right now, why should God be happy with Abel and not with me? It's not fair. Then here's this part. Cain is now thinking, as long as Abel is around, he'll always be the favorite. God told me I could choose to have power over my sin, but I'd rather choose not to have a brother. Cain gives in to his jealousy and kills his brother. Now, Cain is saying, now I just need to pretend I don't know anything about Abel's death. And then it says, I don't know. And then it says, oh, hold on. Now it's the next page. But then God calls out to Cain. And God is saying, Cain, where is your brother? And Cain is saying here, sweating, I do not know. I am supposed to keep track of my brother. I don't know. I am supposed to keep track of my brother. And then Cain is thinking inside, he knows? Then God says, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. From now on, the ground will yield no fruit for you, and you will wander the earth until your death. And then Cain is now saying to God, please, God, the punishment is more than I can take. Wow. This punishment is more than I can take. And it says, God sent... right here. God sentence carried out. Cain flees to a land called Nod. Eventually, he will get married, start a family, and build the first city, which he will name for his son Enoch. But in the meantime, Adam and Eve are heartbroken over losing both of their sons. Our house is so empty now, Adam. Will we always be alone like this? Then Adam saying, we brought the tragedy on ourselves. So did Cain. But God has been good to us. Let's ask him to help us now. In time, God gives Adam and Eve a third son. Ooh. We'll call him Seth, says Eve. And then Adam says, and we'll teach him to obey God the way Abel did. Seth learns to obey God. Two of his descendants are Enoch, who walked with God, and Methuselah, who died at the age of 969, the oldest person who ever lived. Man. Then it says, as generations pass, however, people turn away from God. They lie, cheat, and murder. They worship the sun and the moon, they worship the sun and the moon and the stars, and they bow down before idols. But there is one man, Noah, who looks on the sinfulness of the far world with fear. And now Noah is thinking, how long will God allow this wickedness to continue? And then it says, rainy days. Man. It says this, your wickedness cannot continue to turn away from your idol worship, says Noah. Return to your God who created you and gave us everything we have. But other people are saying, God didn't give me everything I have. I stole it. Ha! Noah thinks he's better than everyone else. But Noah remains true to God. One day God speaks to him, and this is what God says. I'm sorry that I ever made humans. They are corporate and violent, so I'm going to destroy them. Noah, you have been faithful. Build yourself a ship because I am going to flood the whole earth. Noah obeys and begins building an ark. He follows the instructions that God gives him. Then people are saying, that crazy Noah thinks he can float a boat on dry land? Then other people are saying, what will he think of next? And it says, when the ark is finished, God tells Noah to take 7 pairs of each kind of animal and bird that is used for food, and 1 pair of each kind that is not used for food. Noah and his family enter the ark. Then the people are saying, now I've seen everything. Old Noah spent 120 years building that huge ship, but he never thought about who would close the door. And then other people are saying either he's crazy or he knows something we don't. Another person is saying, don't you start preaching like Noah. And then it says, a few days later, suddenly lightning flashes, the windows of heaven open, and the rains pour down. Flood waters rise rapidly. This just hit my head. I remember the song, Rain on Us, Lord. It just hit my head when I heard it say, a few days later, suddenly lightning flashes, the windows of heaven open, and rain pours down. So I'm thinking rain is pouring down from the gates of heaven. So God is pouring himself down on us, showering down. But then some people are saying maybe Noah was right about his ark. Other people are like, don't worry, there's never been enough water here to float a boat before. But other people are saying, yes, but it's also never rained like this before. Then they're looking at the ark and they're saying, look, the door of Noah's ark is closing. But who is shutting it? Could it be Noah's God? Then, but it is too late. The people who have spent their lives rejecting God now see that God has finally rejected them. And the rains pour steadily for 40 days and 40 nights. Man. And it says here, water flows over the land and rises above the mountain tops. All of the earth is covered. Only Noah's great ark survives. The flood destroys everything evil. Now, that is what I was waiting for. Right there. Did you hear that? It says, right here on the last sentence, the flood destroys everything evil. Amen. Then it says, as the rain pours without stopping, Noah and his family work hard to care for the animals in the ark. Noah says, have you fed the cows and sheep yet, Shem? Yes, I just finished. Now I'm going to feed the reptiles. And another person from Noah's family is saying, and now I have to clean up after the cows and sheep and then the reptiles. And it says, one day the rain stops, but the ark still floats above the flooded earth. Land is nowhere in sight. Man, that is. Now, next chapter is Rainbow Promise. A Rainbow Promise. Then, this is Genesis 8 through 10. It says, month Month after month, Noah's family waits. We've been in this ark for 6 months now. When will we ever see land again? It could be another 6 months. And what will we find when we get out? Finally, the water level begins to drop. The ark comes to rest on the mountain of Ararat. And Noah says, I'll send out a dove. If it doesn't come back, we'll know it has found land. The dove disappears from sight. Noah watches the skies. After long hours swirling through the sky, the dove returns. A few days later, Noah again sends out a dove, and again it returns. An olive branch. That means some land must be dry again, says Noah. 7 days later, Noah sends out a dove for the 3rd time. This time the bird does not return. It has found a place to nest. Then it says, Noah's saying, look, Noah and his family are anxious to leave the ark. It says, Noah and his family are anxious to leave the ark. They look every day for signs of dry land. A little over a year after the flood started, Noah steps out onto dry land. Once more, only 8 people have survived the flood. Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their sons' wives. The warm sun on my face, the grass under my feet, it feels wonderful, says one of Noah's sons. And another one of Noah's sons says, oh, ground, how I've missed you. Then Noah was saying, everything evil is gone. Through us, God is giving human beings a new start. We must obey God and teach everyone who follows us to obey. Then it says, the first thing Noah does is build an altar. He thanks God for his care and asks God guidance to help the family make a new start. Then God makes a new wonder in the sky, a rainbow. For as long as the earth lasts, there will be a time to plant and a time to harvest. There will always be summer and winter, day and night. But never again will a flood destroy the whole earth. One of Noah's sons is saying, it's beautiful, good is good. Then Noah is saying, whenever people see a rainbow, they'll remember God's promise that a flood will never destroy the whole earth again. Then, in the years after the flood, Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their families moved down to the river valleys. Their families grow larger in time. The mountains and plains are dotted with the tents of shepherd tribesmen and the rich river valleys with growing cities. Is that the end? Yep. So, that is the message today. Well, that is what we were reading for the message today. So, it's like, let's try to say it like this. It's like, so, they got on the ark, and Noah and his family were on there for 6 months. And so they found land now. This message was called, Noah. This message was called Evil Disappears. Evil disappears, but not for long, because after this, all of this Bible stuff, it comes to our world right this minute. And so, right this minute, which I mean is like it's now evil. There is evil again on earth. So, this message was called Evil Disappears. Powerful. This was God's Love Christian Fellowship 1 Ministry. I'm your pastor, Josiah Christopher Moore Martin, and I hope you enjoyed this message of touch. Praise the Lord, and bless all of you for listening to this message, and I will see you next time on Sunday. Bye. Bless you.